Hello everyone, welcome to the next session of this training. In this particular session, we will see monitoring of transport. What are all the monitoring tools we have presently available in the transport management system and how we can use it. We also seen many ways how we can monitor it in our previous sections, which was related to during the import and other related sections. However, in this particular session, we will concentrate on what are all the monitoring tools and how we can monitor the transport in the transport management system. As an administrator, it is very important that we know all the tools which is available to monitor the TMS system. Mainly, if you see the monitoring tools, what we have is this import monitoring, which we have seen, and import history, and we have TP logs, and we can also see the uh, we have this import queue consistency check, transport program consistency check, and the transport consistency check, RFC connection test. So we have quite a lot of monitoring tools which is available. We have partially seen this before, and in this particular session we will see all this thing in detail. Before getting into the critical object checks, we also have quite a lot of monitoring which is already we know in STMS. Let's say if you go to our SAP system, we are an ECQ system. If you go to STMS, go to overview and imports, then select the system. Let's take UCQ itself, and here if you want to see the import monitor, then you can see go to and say import monitor. It will give you the overview of the import monitor. At the moment we do not have any scheduled job and we don't have any executions also. Let's say if you have any TRs which is already scheduled in the system, then you will be able to see it here. This also can be monitored using a table TP stat. If you go to SE16, go to /n SE16, you can see this table TP stat. Then this also should be able to give you the status of this import monitor. Let's say if we have scheduled some jobs which needs to be imported, also we can monitor it. Let's say let's go to STMS again. Let's go to the import overview, ECQ system. Let's take one of this particular TR, and just for testing we will, let's say, schedule it to a different time, say 22. Just give a time. So now we are scheduling this particular import of the TR in a different time, okay, for a specific date and time. Say yes. Now you can see this is import is scheduled. Okay, it's waiting for the particular time. Now if you go to import monitor, then you can see we are going to have one import which will be imported into the system in this particular date and time. Okay, and this is the job which is going to do this import, and this is the job number and who is the scheduler and which target client, all these details. If you go to SM37, let's take this job number, let's take this job name TMS something. Okay, let's go to SM37 TMS star. Okay, this is the job which is going to execute this particular import. Okay, then this is the user who is going to execute this particular TR or particular import. However, now you may think, okay, now we scheduled a job, I want to cancel the jobs. You can also cancel it here, but it is best that you cancel the job or you manage all the TMS related activity from the TMS itself. Let's say if you go to STMS, go to import overview, you see queue system. Now this is the job which is running. Import monitor, this is a job which is running. You can manage all this job from the STMS itself. Okay, so go to job monitor. Here you can see that this is the job which is going to run. This is the function, and this is the time which we have scheduled. And if you select this and say delete, you can do a lot of activities here. Say simply delete it. Now I go back, say refresh. Okay, now it became normal, it became green again, waiting to be imported. If I go to monitor, you can see now it is already disappeared from this import monitoring. So like this we can also manage the monitor, and we can also monitor it, and we can also manage it. Okay, the next one is if you wanted to see the import history, and in that case you can go to import history here. Then you can specify the date, which we seen it also previously, and specify this date. Then you can see this particular date which are all the TRs imported, this kind of informations. Okay, this is about import history. You can also get this import history from the log file which is called a log, and we also seen TP displays all the TP calls and errors in the slog file. And if you go to TP log, go to SAP, if you go to TP system log, now you have the log file. Basically the TP system log is coming from the slog. Okay, and you have the a log, which basically gives you the all the files which contains the return codes. Basically that a log which contains the all the return codes of TP. Okay, now let's come back to critical object check. Basically, when you are releasing any TRs, the TRs may contain some of the critical objects. So it is very important that we check the critical objects in the particular TR uh, before importing the changes. So the critical objects can be checked two different ways. Let's say before importing the transport, you can manually perform the check to display or to find if the request has any critical object. Otherwise, during the import, even TP parameters, we have a TP parameters which also can check this particular critical object. So it is very important that we check all the critical objects in the import queue before we start importing. So if you go to our SAP system, you can also check it there. Let's go to ECQ. Let's go to STMS. Go to import. ECQ. If you go to the queue and check, you can see critical objects. So when you select this, it was going to check the critical object in the for all the TRs which is available in the queue. Let's say yes, or you can also selectively do this. Okay, now we have a list. It says in the queue we have 20 TRs. It checked only 19 for some reason. Yeah, we know the reason, because we have one TR which is already imported, which is not available for import again. That's the reason it skipped only one. So let's go back and say critical objects. Yes. So So that's the reason we have only 19, and with critical object is 0. So almost everything is passed. So we don't have any TRs which has critical objects. Okay, so if you are doing quite a lot of TRs, then you need to check what are the critical objects in the TRs in general. In the practical scenario, it will also be checked by the people who is releasing the TR, who is now going to approve the TRs, what is the TR contains. So you know, then uh, if there is a critical object, then we can monitor this particular TR more carefully till it completes. Now let us see what is code freezing and testing. So this is, we use this code freezing testing we use during the implementation of project to ensure that stable test and development environment. That means to use the developer deadline to freeze the work and the object in the development system till you complete the quality check and verifications. Then we can use freezing or the code freezing methodology. The procedure to do code freezing is that first you release the transport request which contains all the objects. The once let's say once all these transports are being released from the development system, freeze the development system for any changes in this particular project. Then you can import these objects in the quality assurance system. Then you will do the testing. So let's say if you have some errors, then you will release to development system and say, okay, now you fix that one, and you release it back, then you will freeze it. So during the testing time, that you do not do any modification in the development systems, so that the consistency of the tests which is going to happen in the quality system is going to be uh, accurate. So if it is necessary, you can allow changes in the development system only in case of some bug fixing or these kind of things. Okay, this is code freezing. Once the quality assurance is done, then let's say once we have the sign off, then we will import the changes into the productive systems. So as a technical consultant, as a basis consultant, we can also do some kind of freezing in the SAP system, meaning to say we are not going to entirely stop the development from the system. It it again depends on case by case. Yeah, we cannot say, okay, we don't do anything in the SAP system in some scenarios, meaning to say we don't do any development in the entire landscape in some scenarios. In that case, the freezing will be controlled manually by the specific project team, or we can also do some kind of freezing in the systems in the technical level. We will see how we can do. Let's say, for example, if you create a file in the USR trans bin directory, so let's say that we stop exporting, that you do not want any TR to be released from the system even though people have authorizations, but you don't want to shut down the entire development system. So we can say stop exporting by creating a file in this particular transport directory, which also you can give some kind of messages to the user who is going to release this particular transport. So this is a file, just a raw file. Just create a file which is named as t underscore off dot the SID, that is the, for example, in our case it's ECC, and place it in this bin directory. Then you put a message whatever you wanted to specify in that particular file. Then whenever they release that one, then they will get this message. Then the people knows that, okay, we are not supposed to release any TRs from the system. Let's go to the system. We can create this file. Let's go to our ECC system. This is our ECC system. Let's go to USR SAP trans, USR SAP trans, and you go to bin directory. Here you just create a file. Let's say text file. We will change the name later. T underscore OFF dot SID, that is ECC. Want to change the file? Yes. Open this and say here hello the SAP system landscape is on freeze. Please release the TR after some date. Okay, MMDD YYY. Okay, some date. So we wanted to tell the person who is releasing the TR this particular message. Okay, so save this. Basically this should be in one line. So what it will do is, if it will check whether this file is there, then if the file exists, then it will message the first line of this particular text file or particular raw file. So you should have only one line. That means the message should be in one line. Okay, it will not take the second and another consecutive lines. So let's go to ECC system. This is our ECC system. Cut this. Okay, this is our ECC system. Let's go to PFCG. Let's create one role. Let's say iset underscore bc underscore c underscore training underscore role 07. Let's say single role. Test stop export or any changes. Let's say create. Let's add one transaction code. SU01 authorization change. Okay, then let's save and create a profile, generate. Okay, now let's create a TR for this. We can still create the TRs, but only we cannot export it. So that means we are not stopping the actual development, but we are stopping the changes which is going to be released. Let's say create a request. Let's say basis test using export TR. This is our TR number. Let's go to SC01. Okay, now we need to first release the task. The task we can release it because the time when you are releasing the task, we are not exporting the file. Okay, we are just releasing the objects which is inside the particular task. So we can release this. Let's say release this TR. Here you can see the message which we have given. Hello, the SAP system landscape is on freeze. Please release the TR after this particular date. Okay, we can provide a message to the person this is on freeze period. Okay, this is one method. We also have another method. Let's say the import of the TRs. Let's say you want to stop the import from the SAP system, then we can also do that. Okay, that for that let's go to our ECQ system. We have a couple of TRs there. Let's go to this our ECQ system. Let's go to STMS import. we can see, for example, 2 TRs which is presently available, which can be imported. But in the stop import process, this trick, basically you cannot give a message here. Basically you can just simply stop it, even though you execute it, and it will say it's executed, but it will not import. If you go to ECQ system, then you go to USR SAP trans, go to USR SAP trans, go to temp. Here you create a file which is no import dot ECQ, no import dot ECQ. What is inside this particular file doesn't matter, because we don't have anyway any messages here. So we say no import dot ECQ. Now if I come back here, if I say take one of this file tr and say import, it's saying import, I'm going to import now, but it says the import is started. If I refresh, you can see nothing happened here. Okay, if I go to the log, you can see there is nothing is happening. That means even though it says, the SAP says that the import is started, but in the OS level the TP does not start the import. Okay, so it is preventing from importing. This also we can do. So let's go back and delete these files. So once you delete these files, it will become normal, then you can start doing whatever it is necessary. Okay, this is about freezing period. Next one is transport directory, or the transport directory naming conventions, which we have seen it also before. Briefly, what are all the naming conventions we have, and in general, because of the transport control program, TP runs in many different operating systems. The It is restrictive naming conventions are required. That means the specific naming conventions are required. Transport requests always represent the following format. You have source ID, that is when we create, we have the ECC, then you have K9, then you have some running number. Okay, let's say this is in our ECQ system. So this is ECC system, then you have K9, then we have some running number. So this will be always be the TR's transport requests naming conventions. Okay, the 5-digit name, this numbers will be keep increasing, depends on number of TRs and the task which you are creating. So as we know, the transport directory have different directories, which is our data file, co-file, buffer, log, temp, action log, and SAP names and EPS. First one is this bin directory. The bin directory contains the configuration file for the transport domain. The data directory contains the data files, which is basically a file which start with the R, where your actual TR number is K. Okay, so if you have a file, if you have the file which is R, then the running number, then dot, then the SID, that will be the data file. Co-file will start with K, same like the TR number, K, then running number, dot, then the SID. That will be the format of co-file. Then we have the buffer. Buffer will have something like each SID will have one file, which contains the import buffer in the specific target system. Then we have the log file. We know we have different log files, and we have the temp file which contains the log file which is written into the log. Then the action log, this subdirectory contains the actions which is related to releasing and changing of the ownership and stuff like this. Changing of ownership means you can change the ownership of one TR to a different persons. There is a separate tab for that. Let's, if you go to ECC system, EC01, let's say this is the TR. We want to change the ownership of this TR. Right now it is with SAP basis. I wanted to change it to SAP basis 01. If I select here and select this one, change ownership, here you can see this is the basis. If you change it to basis 01, then it will change the ownership. This also sometimes is become very handy if you are dealing with quite a lot of different projects. It's done by a separate consultant, and you want to reassign to different person, then we can use this option to do the change ownership. And the change ownership also recorded in the action log, and the SAP names also, which we have the logon names, and the EPS, which we already know, which is going to be used for our support backup grade and that kind of scenarios. Now let's see a little bit more about the transport log files. As we know, we have several log files when you are executing any transport from which is generated even mainly from the TP, and we have two places where you can find the log files. Let's say this R3 trans and RDD log files will be initially created in the temp files. That means during the execution of the particular transport or during the process, the log files will be created in the temp files. When the import is completed, or when, let's say, if it is also moved into error or some kind of things, so the particular action is completed, then the TP moves the log file to the particular log file to the log folder, or it will also update the log files in the ulog and xlog and alog log files. Meaning to say, the possible error message what we can get, or possible level of information what we can get, is what performed actions and the return codes related to that, as well as we can also get some additional error message, and we can also get end user logs, and we can also get the owners and this kind of information, and ownership change and these kind of informations. The next one is we have TP log file. Monitoring, how we can monitor this TP log files. We have different log files, slog, ulog and alog. For long running jobs, this may be very helpful to monitor the log file which is written the operating system level. All the logs are in the transport directory. In general, these logs file which are created by slog and ulog and elogs are created by various transport tools. The current ulog file are recorded in the TP command. That is, for example, if you have any syntax errors, or if there is some issues in the ulog, then we can find it out from here. The ulog also has some naming convention, ulog with year and some digits, some running numbers, and each ulog line contains represents one TP command. Let's say if you go to our operating system, our ECC, okay, let's go to USR SAP trans, and go to log, and you go to the ulog. So ulog, then you have one 2-digit number underscore one running number. Open this, you can see each line of the ulog is a TP command. Okay, so that is ulog. Then we have xlog. Xlog file is used to monitor the transport activities. Let's go to those are SAP trans. We have slog. Let's take one of this one. Then this will have the detail about that particular transport directory. So you can find the return codes and what kind of messages or TP messages which has been sent to particular log files. Then this log files you can monitor it and see what has happened. You can see here it started the import, then it is started the generation of reports, and it stopped the reports and inform SAP systems. So you can also monitor this one if it is really necessary. And we have next is alog. Alog is here. The alog file records the return code for all transport steps handled in the common transport directory. So let's say we open this. Okay, it will report all the transport steps with the TR numbers and in detail. See here, it will basically record all the transport logs for the entire transports. Then we will see a little bit of return codes. These are all the return codes which we already know. If it is a transport tool which is reporting a return code, 0 means it's successfully transported, 2 is warning, 3 is error, and 16 is transport error. That means the transport even could not get inside to the transport even could not be imported to the system. This is 8 means it's an error. That means error in the object. 16 means error in the transport. Then we have return codes which is related to TP. Then we have TP tools and TP warnings and TP errors. These are all anyway given in the file system and the database level. So this also TP related errors, but mostly the errors which we will get in the TMS will be these errors, transport tool errors. Now let us see how we can troubleshoot if there is any errors. This troubleshoot just to give you an idea, does not mean it should be the same way. Again, this troubleshooting of any software is based on individuals and their understanding about the systems. So this is just an idea what all we can do or where we can test it. For example, if you have an issues, then we can first use alert monitor. There are different alert monitors which is presently available in our SAP system, which we know. We have CCMS and we also have TP error messages. This also can be viewed in the SAP system as an alert message. Let's say if you go to our ECC systems, or let's say go to ECC system. If you go to STMS, go to monitor, you can see TMS alerts. Okay, if you go to TMS alerts and go to TMS alert viewer, here it will give you the alerts. What are all the alerts which you received related to TMS, you can find it here. Okay, you can, yellow means some warning, some red you have some TP issued lot of errors here. TP report error, read work list, different errors it gave. Yeah, unknown system. So it gave different errors in a different time. Yeah, so this is TP alert, and we also have alerts coming from CCMS. We already know what is CCMS. In the CCMS alerts also you can see some issues or something. We can still monitor it here. This is taking time. You can see here this also anyway red because this has some problems. You can see ECC domain and ECQ domain, two different domains which we configured in our TMS system. The CCMS actually picked up from the TMS and created a template for that, and it says import problems and some issues which actually we did not see it before. Okay, this is alert which is already available in the TMS system. We can use this alert. Also, we know we have the slog to view all the TP return codes, and we also have this alog where you can check the specific phases which was created the error, and you can review these errors in the operating system level. And we also have different methods. Let's say if you go to SM37, you can monitor all the RDD jobs. This we have seen it before. The RDD jobs will give you an idea of which stage it's executing or where it is being stopped. So it is very important that you go and check the RDD jobs if you have a problem. And you can also analyze the problem using the tables what we have seen it before, the TR bat and TR jobs, which will also give you the idea about what stage and what TR has been presently imported. Yeah, you can check in SA16 and go to TR jobs and TR bat, which will also give you the present TR numbers and the status of the present TR numbers. And this is about cleaning up the transport directory. It is very important once in a while you clean all the transport directory, because once you are doing development for so many years, it is possible that the transport directory is getting filled for a long time. Then over a period of time your operating system space is going to be occupied. So it is always better that you archive these transport files from the transport directory in a periodic basis, and make sure that you transport or you move the PR files which is already been imported, or that means of entire life cycle of the development life cycle is completed. So its best way is that you create a folder, maybe saying the offline folder or a old data, then you move it there. Then you can, once after some time, then you can move it to an archive location. So it is always recommended that you make sure that the TRs are not required after this specific period. So it is also important that you need to keep this audit requirement into place. Let's say if the auditing is done once in a year, then we should at least keep at least 1 year data, because when the auditor comes back and asks what is the TRs which is imported and this kind of information, then we need to have these log files. So in general what we do is we move these TR files and these log files into a inexpensive directories. That means not in the RAID and directories. You have the low performing disks where you can transport it. So once in a while if you want to check it, you can copy it. So you keep it for some time. After that, if it is not necessary, then you can delete it, or you can archive to the CDs or some another medias if it is necessary. So meaning to say the transport cleaning up also required once in a while to minimize the to make sure that it is not occupying your operating system storage space. With this, we are coming to the end of this session. Thank you very much for listening. I will see you in the next session. Bye bye.